Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. It's Monday here. We've got 8 games that we're looking at. We're coming off of a weird little Saturday slate. It was football weekend. I don't know why I was even bothering with NBA picks instead of just looking at the NFL and making some money off of that. But quick look at how we did, and then we run into the 5 picks that I have here for you on Monday. All right, looking at this real quick. Jalen Williams, we continue. Love his stuff. He had 23 points and assists combined there in that win for OKC. Big win over Minnesota on Saturday night. Pretty interesting game. Still low scoring, but really well played by a couple of these guys, including J-Dub here. White Dante, his props were toast. They were just crisped as soon as they came out. It was 2.5 threes, minus 162. I took that. I stopped off the ladder. I put it down there like in the comments that like that was possible, but DraftKings didn't come up with anything better than FanDuel. They had that all the way juiced, and it was a total sucker bet. So I took it at the 1 unit and lost it. We also lost 0.7 units there on the 2 different parlays that we put together, and they were basically the same thing, and nobody came through. So we move on. It was a bad look with Hartenstein. Everything else was fine. Randall missed a number of shots, including free throws, and didn't get there somehow. Got a ton of boards. Barnes got his assist, so we'll be looking at that again, to be honest with you. But yeah, OG, no threes made. Not a good look on the threes made. I thought he'd have a better shot at it, and he didn't take any from the corner. Went over 4. You know, it would have been nice for him to make 2 of them because they were pretty open, but he overall had a decent game, and it was really a blowout pretty quick after the, let's say 2-3 quarters. It was done, and then the fourth quarter wasn't much to look at. So nobody really did well there other than J-Dub. So we'll move along here on the season, still up 9.3 total, up 20 units basically on the Playa props, and that's what I have for you today. So let's get right into my first best bet here, and I love this one, and it is my best bet. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing up onto the social medias as well, so do follow along there. Land Your Bets on here, obviously on YouTube, and then also TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter as well, at JL Boogie or at Land Your Bets on Twitter. So that's where I'll be also putting up that best bet of the day each day, so you know what that is. Today, I already know what it is. It's Triple J under 33.5 points and boards, minus 115 on DraftKings there. Lot to like about an under for him here. Like, I understand how scary the volume is for him. It's like 23 shots a game for this dude. None of them, if any, a few of them, I'll say, to give him some credit, are good shots. They're not great looks. He's basically going out and going like, I don't have anybody on this team that you're going to get mad at if I take shots. Like, I am the first option. I am the Ja Morant now. But he just does not have that bag, obviously, as we know. He needs to either hit a lot of threes or a lot of free throws, or more likely both, to get over his points prop, which is really high at 26.5. And the Raptors aren't exactly formidable down low right now, but they've been incredible on the 3-point line, not allowing the second fewest threes made there in their last 3 with this iteration of the team. And Bruce Brown is a huge part of that. I mean, when Bruce Brown's in there, the team he's on is very good at limiting 3-pointers. He's a ball hawk on the perimeter, and that's his job. He's just never done flying around on the defensive possession at all times. So he's the type of dude that is going to go ahead and make sure there are no open threes for the other team, kind of like an Alex Caruso, where it's like, even if it's not his dude, but he sees a guy ready to shoot an open 3, he's flying out onto the wing and trying to, defend that guy. So if the 3 shouldn't be there with this incredible Toronto defense flying around and playing very switchable with no centers and barely any power forwards, to be honest with you, other than Chris Boucher, who's a pretty good matchup, by the way, for Triple J. They also allow the second fewest free throws a game in the last 3. And some teams that have been going to the free throw line that they played, obviously like Minnesota, but more importantly, like, they're just not fouling down low. They are giving up a decent amount of points in the paint, as you might expect, and inside of 5 feet. Triple J is going to have to get a lot of those, and I don't see him finishing nearly as much as he would need to without getting the 3s and getting all these 2s, right? I don't think he's getting the free throw line either, because he's going to need to get at least 8 to 10 free throw attempts to get to this number, in my opinion. And even if he gets some of the points, let's say he gets 27 points, I don't think he's going to get 7 rebounds, right? So that's why I like putting them both together, because I think he's going under on both of them. So you combine them, and I think we get a little bit more wiggle room there. You look at the rebounds for him, 10 chances or so in the last 3 games and 4.7 boards that he's actually pulled down. He's playing on the perimeter. And that's why it's like, okay, he's playing on the perimeter. He's shooting all his shots from 3. He's defending whomever, right? He's kind of switchable on defense, but Xavier Tillman's out. They don't really have bigs right now. It's going to be like Santi Aldama, who is basically the same style of player as Triple J, honestly. And Triple J is a little bit better finishing around the rim, but not much. And with Tillman out, maybe he does play a little bit more down low. If that's the case, then I don't think the points are there for him. He's either going to have to choose that he's going in and getting boards or he's scoring from outside. And I think he'll just continue to be basically a pseudo point guard for this Memphis team where he's got the ball in his hands more than anybody. And he's got the green light to shoot at any particular moment in time that he feels like it. So I think he'll be pulling a lot, but I don't think he'll continue to get good looks. And the rebounds shouldn't be there for him either. So this is my favorite bet, is under 33.5 points and rebounds combined for Jaren Jackson Jr. And we stay in this game for one more bet with Scotty Barnes to keep getting the dimes, like over 5.5 assists. It's not great juice, minus 128. If you want to put 1.2 or 1.3 units on it, I wouldn't hate that either, but he's a point guard now. He and Emmanuel Quickly, it's a 2-guard offense, right? It's no point guard shooting guard as much as it's really just 2 guards, 2 ball dominant guards in the same backcourt. And it's working decently enough. I mean, they're scoring 110 points. They're not awesome by any means, but they have the ball in their hands for half the game, more than that, right? Like maybe 3/4 of the game, the ball is either in Scotty Barnes' hands or Emmanuel Quickly's hands. The paint touches are down. All of the touches around the 3-point line are up. His rebound chances are down as well in the last 3 because of his positioning on the court. He's a point guard. Now, he might have a chance for some boards in this game. Is that 7.5? Both of these teams are terrible rebounding teams in the last 3. But I don't really think 7.5 is fair for where he's standing on the court. Like, I understand why it is. I do think he'll probably be guarding a bit of Triple J as well, alongside Chris Boucher when he's in there. And Boucher might be getting a few more minutes, but Barnes will be in there with Triple J plenty, with Boucher on the bench. And I do think that's the best matchup for them. We saw him guard LeBron James. I don't know why he wouldn't guard the best player on the other court, on this team, who's a wing and can bang down low. But I think Scotty's strong enough to at least handle him, and Triple J shouldn't be getting too many post-ups, so it's not like we're worried about that, right? All of that said, like, maybe the rebounds are there. I still think 7.5 is high because of where he's playing, especially on offense, without quite the same ability to get the offensive boards that he used to have. So, and as bad as Memphis is at limiting rebounds as of late, they're just as bad, if not worse, at allowing assists, and that's mostly to point guards. So Emmanuel Quickly, by the way, at 5.5, juice down even further to the over. I still think he's a good bet too. Like, a combo of them to each get 6 assists is about 2-1 on your money. I don't hate that as a parlay because it's negatively correlated that both these dudes would get that many assists. So you do get decent juice for it to happen, for something that I think is pretty likely in this, right? He's gone over in 10 of 11 now, has Scotty Barnes, after he got the 7 assists last game. So with how bad Memphis is at limiting assists and how good Scotty is at getting them right now, I just got to assume that he's going to keep doing that, finding guys in the corners as well for open threes and all that kind of stuff. So over 5.5 assists rather for Scotty Barnes. And then somewhat of an obvious bet, but I still think it's kind of low for DeJounte Murray. And I talked about this with Nate Weitzer, my co-host, and we both kind of agreed on this one here, where over 31.5 points and assists is a great bet for him. If you want to take the juice, and if you want to get better juice rather, and better odds, to be specific, when I say juice, I'm talking about the odds that you get back. The minus 130 that you get for going over means you got to bet $130 to get $100 back, right? So juice equals odds. Less juice is bad, right? So, but either way, this is basically juiced down to minus 130. Bad odds, but I still like it. If you want to take it on DraftKings, FanDuel, other types of those big books, they're going to be at 32.5 points and assists, but you'll get better odds like minus 105, maybe even money, that kind of stuff. So you'll see me take the better number no matter what, even if it's worse odds here, because I like W's and I like money right now. So I'm going to put him in there because he's going to be in the Trey spot, right? Put him right there in what Trey does. Now, he's not the exact same player because he would rather take a step in and pull a mid-range than he would pull a 3, which I understand, but the spacing will still be there against this putrid Sacramento defense. This is not a good defense, and it's been worse than we thought. Like, it's bottom 5 defense in the league this year, especially at home, where they're just looking at scoring on every possession and really not giving 2 rips about defense. So the 3 games that he's played without Trey, by the way, 25 points a game, 10 assists. That's this season. So like I said, you put him right in the same spot as Trey, and he's going to get the dimes and the points that he was getting when he was on San Antonio, because it's the same thing. It's the same level of usage and player archetype, if you will, that Trey was. Just like I said, more of a 2-point shooter than 3-point shooter. But the usage rate is what we talk about here. Trey's always going to be up around 27 to 30% usage. That's what DeJounte does when Trey's not in. He goes up to 27% usage rate in that sense. So he's taken roughly like 20 shots per game in those 3 without Trey, and that's what I love about the points here, especially for him. And the assists, look, Sack allows all these assists, 8th most a game to point guards, also just the 8th most overall in the league. So if he's going to be taking the shots, playing at a very fast-paced game, Nate and I both like the over 237.5 in this game. I think this would be about 242 to 244.5 if Trey Young was playing. And I don't think Trey is going to necessarily mean that his absence is going to mean that this game goes 6 to 7 points fewer than if he was in there. I still think it's basically going to be the same. So I still have this measured at around 242.5 to 244.5 as the total. projected total for this one. And so I'm happy to take over the 237 as well. But DeJounte to get the points and assists in a very fast-paced game, as you would expect, between the two of the most likely transition teams, highest frequency in the transition and the fast break. And neither of these teams is good at defense at all. So let's go ahead and go over for DeJounte and finish with our boy Wemby, who's come through for us. Whenever we bet him, last time it was Brad Thomas who bet him, and he did nothing in the first half and then went comfortably over in the second. So I think this is going to be a good bet here. Over 21.5 points. Nate brought this to me as well, my co-host on the other show. Minus 105 for him to get the points on MGM, and MGM's also giving us the best juice for him to get the 2 threes, which I also like a lot. And threes are not my thing because, I mean, I've been looking at them. I've been trying to hit them. Even when I find the right plays, like Jason Tatum the other day to hit 2 threes on his 8 attempts, and he made 1. So what are you supposed to do there? I feel like I am the 3-point curse. But where he's going to be playing on the floor just makes sense that he's going to be pulling them. He's taking about 5.5 threes a game over his last 10, and that's why he's made 2 plus rather, in 8 of those 10 games. His last 4, 26 per game in 25 minutes. And really, since he moved to center 8 games ago, he's had a couple bad games here and there, but for the most part, he's hitting this number. He's at 20 plus at least in 7 of 8, and just needs the 2 more in a game that, like, if you want to play a little bit of pop psychologist, like, I would believe he cares about scoring in front of Embiid and playing against these really good teams. He scored 27 against the Celtics. He scored 27 against the Bucks as well. So I like the consistency here of him to keep scoring against Eastern Conference powerhouses because he gives a crap and he's in there to shoot, right? So I think with the volume that he's getting, you still feel good about his ability to hit the shots that he's taking. So when he pulls Embiid away from the basket, if Embiid wants to guard him, he might not. We'll see. I think it'll be a little bit of he and Tobias Harris playing on Victor Wembanyama. If Tobias Harris is on him, he's shooting over him from anywhere on the floor, out in the 3, in the mid-range, going to the hoop. He's shooting over Tobias Harris, who's been a very, very good defender this year. I want to give Harris his credit, but this is a different matchup. If Embiid is guarding him, then he's pulling him away from the basket. And that's why I don't think you'll see that much Embiid on him, is because they've shown that they don't want Embiid stepping away from the basket. That's what happened when they played the Nuggets even. They just didn't put him on Joker for pretty much the whole game because Joker was playing predominantly out in the 3-point line and in the extended mid-range area. And so that's why they don't want Embiid guarding him. So I think it'll be a similar case here, but he's still going to pull the 5 to 6 threes that he's been taking is Wemby, because if Tobias Harris is on there against him, then he's just going to shoot over him from, like I said, anywhere from 30 feet and in, he can shoot over Toby Harris. So that would be why he would do that. All right. That is all the time that I have for you guys. Let's take a quick look at what we've got here. We've got under 33.5 points and assists for Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. on the Grizz. We've got over 5.5 assists for Scotty Bonds, minus 128 for him to get the 6 assists in this one. DeJounte Murray, over 31.5 points and assists. Not mad at you if you take way better juice for the 32.5 points and assists on these other books. And then Wemby also found on MGM best odds for him to get 21.5 points over, minus 105. And then, 1.5 threes there, should say 0.5 units for that. We've got 1.5 total units on Wemby in this one. All right. Appreciate you all following along. That is going to be it for today. I'm going to be on the Kyle Kerm show as well on YouTube. My dude does a great job. I'm ripping off as much as I can from him with some of the shows I'm doing too, because he does an awesome job at putting together this content. So we're going to be on a live stream here at about 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. on the West Coast. I would definitely tune into that. I'll go ahead and post that on Twitter so you have the exact link to his channel. Subscribe to this page if you would. Got plenty of new followers in here. We're going to have a good week for sure. We had a 6.5 unit week a week ago. This past week, we were down about 4.5, 5 units on the week after Saturday was bad. It's actually down to 3.5 is the exact number. I'll put it out there, but continue to check those out, man, and jump in the comments. Let me know what you guys think today. It's a weird slate with injuries, some teams on the back-to-back and all that. But I say that all the time in this league, so we'll keep powering through it and do our best, all right? Best of luck today, y'all, and until I see you next, happy betting.